Vassar, and I'm living in my new TA with my 4 wonderful housemates. I'm not going to tell you the number because that's weird. I will say that many of you might know it as blackout. So, despite all the awful memories the walls of my home may have, I think that the nickname can really stick with us this year because the house is inhabited by 4 beautiful black women and a wonderful white Jewish woman that can throw just as much shade as Nicki Minaj whenever Lil Kim is mentioned. Her name is Hannah. And I'm beginning to wonder what Hannah must feel like in our house, you know? Like, does she feel alone? Does she feel out of place? Is she afraid? Being the super mindful and caring housemates that we are, we decided to plan a practical joke on her. So, last Friday morning, when Hannah woke up, she walked in to find the 4 of us drinking our coffee, doing our homework, with raised fists. Walked out of her room, into the kitchen, paused, shrugged, grabbed a jar of peanut butter, and walked into the living room where she spent 30 minutes browsing her favorite Tumblr, the Daily Beagle. Speaking of Judaism, 3 of us in the house this year are Africans, and as Africans, in this far more superior and developed continent, we're able to get away with a lot of bullshit because ignorance is bliss. For example, in 11th grade, my friend Oluwaseyitin and I had forgotten to study for our math quiz. Thankfully, we had a super racist and ignorant math teacher. And so for example, he'd ask me yo, Tillan, you know really, really good English. And I was like, thank you. He'd ask me if I'd ever had a lion for a pet. And he also proposed that during the year I should spend 15 minutes teaching him how to say hello in my native clicking dialect. So instead of studying, Oluwaseyitin and I decided to come up with a plan. The next morning, we walked into school in our African best. This hat was featured. And we explained to our teacher that there was no way we could do our test that day because it was a sacred day to celebrate our African ancestors, you know? And any exertion of brain power, especially by women, would be extremely offensive. I thought that he was going to come at my bullshit, I'm not going to lie, but a wave of relief poured over me as he not only gave us an extension, but also let us out to lunch early. But the weirdest thing I've had at Vassar in terms of white men asking me about my Kenyan heritage happened in my freshman year when a bro, we can call him Joe, walked up to me and asked if it was customary for Kenyan women if Kenyan women could have premarital sex. And I was super offended, but also a bit confused, so I answered an obvious yes, we can. But 2 hours later, my Kenyan friend, and now housemate, Susan, was banging on my door. Because you see, you guys, I had ruined everything. Joe. Things had gotten super heavy super quickly, and they went to Joe's room, and before they knew it, Joe was revealing his red, white, and blue flagpole. Susan was in a state of panic because she had never seen a red, white, or blue flagpole. I think it goes without saying that in Kenya, flagpoles are not red, white, and blue. They are black. I'm not sure because I've never seen one. However, I did see Django, so I feel like I can. Okay, so in the state of panic, Susan pauses and just explains to Joe. She's like, you know what, like, you're super, super sweet, but I have to save my virginity for my future husband. Joe never talked to her ever again. Mabel and Julie are my two other housemates, and I find them just as amusing. This past Sunday, Julie made it known to us that over the summer she'd accidentally purchased a maternity bra. None of us were particularly surprised because Julie has been making it very clear to us that she's well endowed with both wisdom and bosom. She went back to her room and brought out her bra, and then Mabel, being Mabel, put on the bra, and we all proceeded to have a photo shoot in the theme of the Virgin Mother feeding her Christ. Hannah the Jew was not amused.